Gracias, Eric. Bienvenidas y bienvenidos a todos a esta sesión con Fatma Korkut. Les recordamos que la sesión es interpretada o traducida del inglés al español, así que les pedimos que seleccionen el canal adecuado. Para ello tienen que seleccionar el icono de globo terráqueo que aparece en general abajo de su pantalla y seleccionar inglés o español según sea el caso. Si se mantienen en el canal de audio original, no podrán escuchar algunas preguntas, las preguntas que estén en español, ¿ya? Así que los animamos a seleccionar uno de los dos canales. Y de nuevo, bienvenidos.
I can confirm that we actually having a interpreter from English to Chinese, and from Chinese to English is coming in. She's joining us right now.
The translator already arrived, so could you please?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Jen. So that's what I was saying. That's we having the interpreter from English to Chinese and from Chinese into English is going to join us slowly. So then we will need to put the interpreter into the appropriate channel, and then you can hear the interpretation from English to Chinese. I think she's still joining the talk, but I think what we can do is slowly start. Just give maybe another 30 seconds for the Chinese interpreter to join us properly, okay? And then, Ursula, are you able to then put the interpreter into the right channel? It says interpreter Shane. Can you see it?
No, porque aún no se ha unido. Lo veo uniéndose. Interpreter Shane.
Yeah, but they are still joining, so they have not joined yet, unfortunately. So we can't put them in. All right, so can I just maybe suggest we'll go into the right channels. We just don't go into Chinese at the moment. If they do join, we'll pause the talk for a minute. Fatma, I think they are maybe in now. No, they're not in. No. Okay, not a problem. So can I just suggest to get to the right channel if you want to go. So I'm going to English. Everybody else, if you want to hear this translate into Spanish, go to Spanish. And Liv, the screen is yours. Please, can you please open the session? Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Hello, and welcome to this event, Engage with Ideas, arranged by the Design Literacy International Network. My name is Liv Merete Nielsen, and I'm chairing this network together with Ursula Bravo and Eric Bohemia. Today, we have invited Associate Professor Fatma Korkut from Middle East Technical University in Turkey to present her ideas. She teaches at the Department of Industrial Design. The title of our presentation is Case Teaching as a Strong Strategy for Boosting Design Literacy. Oh. Hello? What is this? Okay, I continue. Today's event is number 32 in this series. By arranging these events, we want to open up for engaged researchers from all over the world to present their ideas on design and design education. All presentations are saved at our website, most of them translated into Spanish, some also into Chinese. Through these events, we share ideas on design competencies in context. It may be as the philosophy of design and design education, or it may be as planned competence, as in formal curriculum, or as acquired competencies, as an outcome of education or related processes, all under the umbrella of design literacy. We have experienced how other fields of knowledge also have developed and articulated their special competencies, such as health literacy, financial literacy, and eco-literacy. Competence is a precondition for wise decisions, and wise decisions are of great importance if we want to move the world in direction of a better and greener tomorrow. and we acknowledge our diverse backgrounds in different contexts of design and design education in different parts of the world. I see this as an advantage for these events. Today's talk will be translated into Spanish and perhaps afterwards also to Chinese. So thank you to Universidad del Desarrollo in Santiago, Chile. And if they join us, also Shandong University of Art and Design in Jinan, China. So I'm very much looking forward to your presentation, Fatma. And after your presentation, we will open up for comments and questions. So please, Fatma, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Liv. Hello, everyone. It is such a pleasure to speak here today. Let me share my screen. Okay. Today, I am going to talk about case teaching in relation to a course that I have teach at the Middle East Technical University, a first-year course, Introduction to Industrial Design. First, I would like to mention a little bit about Middle East Technical University for the ones who don't know. METÜ, or Middle East Technical University, was established in Ankara in 1956 as part of a UN-supported international development program. METÜ was modeled after the North American campus university system and designed as an international university, not only for local students, but also for students from the neighboring regions. The university moved to its main campus in 1963, and the Department of Architecture, the first academic unit of METÜ, and its building was the first building constructed on the campus. Today, our university is regarded as one of the top research universities in Turkey. It's a public university with its main campus located in Ankara. The language of instruction at METÜ at both the undergraduate and graduate levels is English. As of 2023, we have more than 28,000 students and almost 800 full-time faculty members. METÜ community, together with residents of Ankara, created a 3,200 hectare human-made forest in the campus area over a period of 60 years. This is our campus, the built area, and the whole campus area includes a lake. The reforestation program of our university received the Ağahan Award for Architecture in 1995. METÜ Faculty of Architecture, where I work, comprises three departments: Department of Architecture, Department of City and Regional Planning, and Department of Industrial Design. And we have a Bachelor of Industrial program, Master of Science program, and a Doctor of Philosophy program. Our Faculty of Architecture's design education ethos can be characterized by a focal space, the studio, and the accompanying focal practices, the project, the crits, and the jury. All studio courses at METÜ Faculty of Architecture are 12 hours a week. It is the curricular signature of the studio-based education at METÜ Faculty of Architecture. The course that I'm teaching in the first year, Introduction to Industrial Design, it's a 3 hours a week course. In a semester, we have 14 weeks in total, and our class size is typically over 100. And this is the course content, briefly, but we will come to that point later. Just it covers various topics, but of course, it has changed dramatically over the past 14 years. I have started teaching this course in 2009. And of course, there has been significant changes in the structure, the content, and teaching approach. But from the very beginning, I aimed for a course both engaging and grounded in the real world and local context. I especially wanted a course where students discussed and expressed themselves freely. And why case teaching? I will give a few examples before focusing on the cases that I develop. The first cases I utilize were typically related to engineering ethics and product safety, because these were readily available on the internet. For example, this case on the right side, ethical issues in the design of ultra-lightweight vehicles, was from Online Ethics Center for Engineering and Science. And based on that case, I developed my own in-class exercises and exam questions. Again, from the same source, a new dialysis machine. I developed a case for my students to share with them and to discuss with them. Later, I became an educator member of the Harvard Business School publishing platform, and actually started exploring the cases and case teaching more systematically, more seriously. This is a really very helpful platform for case teaching. I recommend it. You can find many cases on this platform, and most of the material is free for educators. And recently, I came across the Harvard Kennedy School case program. It has a very rich, large collection of teaching cases. It also provides teaching plans and videos. This is also a good source for instructors who are interested in case teaching. Before giving the cases in detail, I would like to review why I prefer case teaching in my course. The first issue is transition to an intellectual and creative mindset. Transition from a test-oriented mindset in the Turkish context to an intellectual and creative mindset is really challenging for freshman year students, and first-year courses play a significant role in this transition. The case teaching approach is definitely engaging, participatory, and supports a more active and creative student presence in non-studio courses. And it nurtures the ability to think independently and creatively. Another important issue is analytical skills. Case teaching helps build analytical skills and develop arguments and theories based on evidence. This is really peculiar to case teaching. Design education pedagogy, as we all know, strongly encourages students to take action and learn by doing. A hands-on approach involves making mistakes and taking risks. For course content that is less conducive to project work, case studies provide a similar opportunity and facilitate applied learning in non-studio courses. Another similarity or parallelism with project-based learning is scenario building. It's a strategy designers employ to model users and usage contexts in the design process. Case studies also involve real-world situations. They are context-driven. They support the exploration of alternatives and help externalize decision-making processes, which is really critical. And finally, I can mention transfer strategies. Similar to project-based learning, case studies help build complex skills through practice and encourage the transfer of strategies to future cases. Now, as I mentioned, this is the course content, and I would like to briefly introduce how I introduce cases into the content. The first case, the case of Tetsu Nakamura, it's about the topic of what a profession is, and it also provides a smooth transition to the topic of professional ethics. The second case, the case of Alberto Alessi, it's directly related to professional ethics, but also indirectly related to the design history. We can also discuss issues related to design history, and it provides, again, a transition from professional ethics to the issues of history of industrial design, education and profession in Turkey. And the final case that I'm going to introduce, design registration case. It's about IP rights and design registration, particularly in Turkey. But it's not only about comparing designs, competing in the market. It's also about describing products visually. I mean, it's also about product aesthetics and meaning. It provides a good transition to those topics. The first case, the case of Tetsu Nakamura, totally by chance, I discovered this video on YouTube. And as soon as I realized that Tetsu Nakamura has a very interesting perspective concerning his profession, I decided to focus upon this case more closely. He says, this isn't a peace movement, it's part of my medical practice. Each case, of course, has pre-class, in-class, and sometimes post-class activities. But first, I would like to introduce the case itself, just to flesh out it a little bit. Tetsu Nakamura was a Japanese physician and aid worker who dedicated 35 years of his life to serving people in northwestern Pakistan and Afghanistan, where people face constant droughts and warfare. He focused on two issues, providing water and reviving agriculture. And this resulted in a lifelong project for him. He raised funds and human resources for digging wells, reviving karazes, constructing dams, and revitalizing agriculture. He continued serving the people of Afghanistan as a medical doctor and community leader, despite the tough conditions on the ground during the civil war, the Taliban takeover, and the post-9/11 US invasion in Afghanistan. Nakamura and 5 Afghanis accompanying him died in a roadside shooting attack in Jalalabad in 2019. Now the case pre-class activity includes 2 videos. Students watch these 2 videos and also 2 short readings, World Design Organization, definition of industrial design, and again, history of definition of industrial design. The in-class activity includes actually a group work. First, I introduced the case very briefly, and then I also mention a section from our departmental website concerning what an industrial designer does. And then I posed the question, does Tetsu Nakamura's practice of his profession, medical doctor, involve professional values and approaches like the ones claimed by industrial designers? What are they? Identify and briefly explain them. Students compose groups of 2, work together, and write down their responses. Just some examples from student responses. I mean, it's always very interesting. There are always surprises in student responses. I always discover new things. Always it's very insightful. Each generation has a different perspective. But it's really so satisfying to see students, wrapping up, building their own knowledge, and looking at the case from their own perspective is so important. Here, for example, student emphasizes strategic problem solving, sustainability, usage of affordable materials, technical knowledge and experience. Or another student, emphasizes empathizing with users, lifelong learning, or effective collaboration. The second case, the case of Alberto Alessi, it's again a very interesting case, but first I should mention the background a little bit, how this case emerged. And I was part of this story. In 1998, Abdullah Öcalan, the leader of the outlaw Kurdish Workers' Party, PKK, was expelled from Syria, and he tried to seek asylum in Western Europe, but failed. While Öcalan was in Italy, the Turkish government and media heavily criticized the Italian government. I mean, we see Turkish shopkeepers protesting Italian government by throwing Italian tomatoes onto the streets. Öcalan was later seized by Turkish special forces in Nairobi, Kenya, and brought to Turkey. He faced charges that carried the death penalty, as capital punishment still existed in Turkey at that time, although there was a moratorium for the last 10 years. And during the same period, Alberto Alessi, the president of Alessi SPA, had been invited to a design exhibition in Istanbul that would take place in February 1999. He was supposed to deliver the opening speech on Italian design factories. This is the invitation. However, 10 days before the event, Alberto Alessi sent a fax to the organizers of the exhibition and informed them that he wouldn't be attending due to recent events concerning Abdullah Öcalan. He concluded his message by stating that it was no use his dealing with design in a country where the most important human rights were not respected. Well, the case, the pre-class activity included a short reading, the fax message by Alberto Alessi, the WDO's Code of Professional Ethics, and another short text on resolving ethical dilemmas. And the in-class activity was about writing a letter to Alberto Alessi. First, students read the fax message and then write a letter, personal letter to Alberto Alessi concerning his decision not to come into Istanbul to deliver his speech on Italian design factories. And then, after writing the letters, there's an open discussion in the class through the facilitation of the instructor. This is the simple assignment that I offered, and I would like to show some examples of student letters. I mean, it's very interesting, of course. This topic is rather controversial and difficult topic. It triggers emotional responses, it triggers nationalistic emotions, sometimes it triggers negative emotions. It's a very complex situation, and there may be different worldviews in the classroom. There may be different nationalities, people from different countries in the class. So it's a difficult case to manage, but always very fruitful and interesting. For example, this student, finishes his letter by saying, keep the world more livable and forget about politics. This case, by the way, for the first year students, I mean, always it's about design, has nothing to do with politics at the beginning. And later, slow by slow, as the discussion progresses, we realize that design has everything to do with politics. But this is a really very interesting transition. I mean, the experience we lived through during this discussion is so interesting. And, genuine reflection is also very critical in this exercise. For example, one student says, Kurdish problem is a very complicated and relevant topic. Even now, it's still not solved like many other human rights issues in Turkey. And he says, I would love to have a face-to-face conversation with you about this. Take care and stay with the people. Different classes have different responses, but you always have really interesting letters. And another example, this student, says, your attitude reminds that we can react. As creatures with a soul, we have emotions. We can show them. We are upset. We are not okay with this, what's going on, in a kind and humble way, of course, as you did. Thank you for your letter again. The open discussion also, very critical in this case, but as a post-class or end of discussion activity, we read the response message by the Industrial Designers Society of Turkey, because Alberto Alessi's fax message appeared on the national press on the first page of daily newspapers for not coming to Turkey to deliver his speech. We were talking about this event, at that time, and we decided to prepare a response to this letter, fax message. It was also a very interesting process. So I share with students this process as well. And I highlight a few arguments that we developed at that time. What was our approach, how we commented on Alberto Alessi's reaction. And the third case, intellectual property rights and design registration case. This is a rather interesting case, combining both visual and verbal skills in the in-class exercises. In this exercise, in this case, there are two relief designs, relief design X and Z, and we compare these reliefs. First, but before making a thorough analysis of the relief designs, students typically draw these relief designs themselves, which is a good warm-up exercise, and students also become more aware of the visual qualities of these relief designs. And then I provide them with a rather structured assignment in class exercise, through which they discuss first similarities between relief designs and then differences, and then they reach a conclusion about whether these two designs are same or not. If they're not same, they further decide whether overall impressions of these two relief designs create a similar overall impression on the informed user or not. These are all the legal terminology I'm using here. When we look at the student responses, we realize that, it's so difficult, of course, to verbally describe visual patterns. So students use both verbal descriptions and sometimes they employ schematic descriptions. It develops such an interesting skill here, verbally describing a visual pattern. It's quite difficult and challenging. But it's such an interesting experience. Of course, for this particular topic, intellectual property rights and design registration, I use many different cases, not only relief designs. For example, this is a door handle, comparing door handle designs. This is an exam, a midterm exam. And you see the energy of the student, it's all over the place. It's such an energetic response. Or sometimes I use pattern design for carpets, sometimes glass packaging design. Each year I add new cases to this topic. Since I also act as a court expert, I have a rich collection of cases that I can use under this topic. The concluding remarks, I can say that when structured and moderated appropriately, case teaching can facilitate class participation, encourage student engagement, promote open discussion, and lead to deep learning. Case teaching can be utilized as an alternative pedagogic approach to project-based learning for building design literacy in non-studio courses. And here, the design literacy skills are a little bit different than the ones that we encounter in project-based learning, as we pointed out during the presentation. Of course, there are some challenges concerning case teaching. It requires extensive preparation on the part of the instructor. You need to develop, compile engaging cases, plan and facilitate quality discussion during the class, and encourage student participation in class discussions. I mean, encourage each and every student's participation in class discussions. Case teaching is very much student-centered and prioritizes the facilitation of student engagement and participation. Skillful facilitation requires different skills. For example, you need to prompt, question, listen, respond, wrap up, rather than simply delivering the content. And a quality in class discussion also requires preparation on the part of the students before the class. And instructors, of course, need to provide students with diverse material and tasks, including videos, reads, fieldwork, or sometimes even performance student motivation. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. If you have questions and comments, I would be happy to listen to you.
Thank you so much, Fatma. It was very, very fascinating. I love the examples, and there are many ideas that are coming through my head. But hello, kitty kit. Even the cat, Tom Cat, was really interested into your talk as well. So, I mean, I have many questions to ask, but I think what I'll do is I'll pass it on to Liv to kick off with her questions, and then we go to Jen, and then we might go to other people. If you do let me know in the chat, then I'll come to you. Liv, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you, Fatma. I really like your cases. Just a short question about this doctor in Pakistan and Afghanistan. He was, as I understood, he was educated as a medical doctor, but he sort of moved into more design-related kind of cases. So this, where is the? Could you just elaborate a bit on where is the? Do you call him a designer? Where is the change between professions, and is it important? So,
thank you.
Please elaborate on that, please.
Thank you, Liv. Tatsuya Nakamura, of course, is a very extraordinary personality, and the way he practiced medicine, I mean, it's well beyond biomedicine. That's obvious, but it's also well beyond social medicine. I mean, he's community leader. He's not only medical doctor, he practices as a medical doctor, but in parallel, since he discovers that he cannot help people just by practicing medicine in the traditional and conventional way, he focuses on two areas. He focuses on providing water and reviving agriculture, because most of the health problems, rooted in lack of water and lack of nutrition. So he says, a water canal can do more than 100 doctors would be able to do. So he establishes an association in Japan and in Pakistan and Afghanistan. He raises funds, and he works together with local people he solves the problem slow by slow, but it's a very long-term investment. I mean, he stays with these people for 35 years and he dies on duty. He's a very dedicated person. So what is important here? I ask students, for example, I mean, he's a medical doctor, but he's doing things that we can call very designerly in terms of his approach to the problem, in terms of his approach to developing a solution. Is very designerly. But what I'm emphasizing in this particular case is the way he flexes his profession. He's not insisting on the conventional practice. Is a bit, in that sense, he's a bit pragmatic and strategically placing himself in the context. And for example, I ask students, I mean, why is he there? Why there are no industrial designers there? I mean, why a medical doctor but not an industrial designer? So, I mean, when you start thinking like this, why there are volunteer medical doctors but not industrial designers, it actually reflects our understanding of our profession. In which context we can do what? Tetsu Nakamura does not feel limited by his profession's classical or conventional definition of or understanding. That's what is interesting about this case. Through this case, we can discuss our profession, industrial design. This is fascinating.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fatma, and it was a really good. I really enjoyed the both the questions and the answer. Leon, you have a question. Would you mind to come to ask your question, please?
Oh, hi. Thank you, Fatma. Thank you very much for sharing the excellent pedagogy to introduce industrial design to the students in the junior years. I just want to seek your insights. I've written my question in the chat. I just want to find out that because you have a very diverse group of students, and probably they will have very diverse interests also. How do you kind of keep the students engaged and also cater to their diverse interests? Do you kind of curate the different kind of cases along the way? Along the way as you teach? And of course, through your experience, you probably know what are some of the cases that may kind of interest most of the students. So if you can share. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leon. Thank you very much. A very good question. Indeed, there are hundreds of, there are, this semester, for example, I have 117 students. And I do not only have Turkish students, I have students from Indonesia, students from Pakistan, students from Syria, and one student from Italy, which is a rare thing, and but in a sense, it was very interesting. This diversity is something that I enjoy and use as an opportunity. For example, I encourage students not familiar, for example, with PKK, Kurdish problem in Turkey. I encourage them to speak, because to hear their perspective, because they are more, calmer, and they are distanced to the case in comparison to Turkish students, and they provide us with a different perspective. But at the end of the day, when you start an engaging conversation, when people start speaking freely and without hesitation, you need to provide a really safe and nurturing classroom environment. Everyone has to respect each other's worldview, opinion. You have to sort of nurture this throughout your classes, throughout the weeks. Then students realize that it's a good thing to speak. You can express yourself, and nothing bad will happen. Even if your English is not perfect, it's okay. Then you have some authentic discussions among students. Italian student, raises her hand and says, I am an Italian. I would like to speak about this case. Or an Indonesian student may say, for example, this is a rather interesting problem with PKK. We have a similar situation in my country, etc. So there are lots of comparisons, and I encourage, cross-cultural comparisons. And it's always better to have a diverse group than a homogeneous group, Leon.
Thank you very much. I apologize, I forgot to introduce where I'm from. I'm from Kyushu University. I'm currently in Japan. I really enjoy your sharing, and very insightful. I'll definitely use it in my teaching also. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank
I can share my cases. If you're interested in the assignments, in-class assignments and case material, I can share.
Leon,
thank you very much. Yes.
Leon, you can email me and I'll connect you with Fatma. Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
Can I just?
All right. Thank you.
I'll be going to Jen. She has a question to ask. But before I
also
go,
have a question. I just cannot comprehend. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, what do you want to see?
That's okay. You ask questions, Jen. That's all right.
Okay. Thank you for your talking about this topic. I'm really interested about that. And here, my question is, like all the students, they are in different levels, and how can we measure their levels to design the teaching contents that interest will be like every student can be interested about the contents like this?
Okay. Well, a case becomes interesting when you start thinking about how can you discuss it, from which diverse perspectives you can discuss it. And you have to plan it, you have to get prepared for it before the class. And it takes, of course, practice. After delivering the case several times, you learn the student responses, typical responses, atypical responses, typical arguments, atypical arguments, you see them all. And you utilize, you prompt, student body, you prompt. And I always make students stand up and talk with a microphone. We acknowledge him, her as an individual first, and then we respect. That shows that we respect his, her opinion. And slow by slow, this class environment, this nurturing class environment, makes even non-speaking students willing to speak. And of course, you need to prompt, and you need to observe, who speaks the most, who speaks, who does not speak at all, etc. So regular class management strategies also may be helpful.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really learned a lot from your speaking.
Thank you.
Very good. Just can I go to Eva, to your team? And I think there's quite lots of members, and you may have a question there. So it's quite difficult, I guess, for you to interact with the chat and so on. So I'll open up to you, Eva, to your group. And if there's a questions on your floor, please do ask questions. It will be the last questions we might be able to ask. And then we have a Francesco. We'll finish with Francesco with his question, and then we'll close the session for today. Okay, Eva, anyone from your floor, please?
We will discuss the talk afterwards, but thank you very much, Fatma. And I was curious when I listened to you, has anything turned so controversial that the people have chosen to leave your class, like walked out?
Anything controversial?
Yeah, so if it's turned so controversial for individuals that they have decided to kind
return.
of leave? This is too much for me to handle. Or
Yeah, you know, usually during breaks, you know, it happens during breaks. People are very careful about their behavior and the way they speak during class sessions. But during breaks, sometimes we see students crossing a red line. I don't know. I simply, you know, approach them individually, you know, kindly, and telling her that her approach is not acceptable. And usually there is an apology. And I also try to show alternative actions to take for him,
Okay.
her. So we usually, I mean, this is a first year course. I mean, we don't see students insisting on bad behavior, you know. They are very willing to cooperate, you know, first year freshman students. So, and they would like to be, you know, praised by their instructors. They would like to be acknowledged in a positive way by their instructor. So they are usually careful. But yes, it happens, you know, sometimes. But I typically invite the student to the stage, you know, to the blackboard, and telling her to schematically draw us and write down his or her arguments. So I encourage him her speak more and analyze more cool-headedly, you know. And it works. Usually it works, you know. Nothing disastrous happened so far for the last 14 years, fortunately. But sometimes it may be very tense, you know. For example, there may be Kurdish students in the class who may not be willing to make their ethnic identity known. So it's not a problem for me. On the contrary, I would love to hear their perspective, but they may not be that vocal because they may fear a negative reaction from other students. It's not easy. It's not easy. And if I catch something like this, you know, I don't push people, you know. I gently trigger, I gently invite. But if there is no willingness, it's okay, you know. And later they come and they usually thank, like, you know, thank you. This issue was very important. I wasn't able to talk in the class, but please know that this is important for me. And yes, I try to make it a positive experience for everyone, including the ideas that I don't like, including the ones who own ideas that I don't like.
I'm really impressed by how you approach such a large group of students like this, listening to them and being so brave about what you present and how you work with them throughout the semester. So
I think that calls for a tour by your staff to go to visit Metu to see how they deal with a large number of students, Eva. So but before we go to Francesco, can I ask you, Fatma, are there any students have joined us tonight?
Yes,
your students?
There are. Umay Demiren. Umay, hello. Hande, are you here? Ayça is here, but Ayça, I'm not sure. Did Ayça take this course? But Umay probably.
Hi.
Hello, Uma. Can I ask you a question, Uma? This is my question. Is about you've passed this course. Are there any? If you can maybe just very briefly just mention. I'm going to put Fatma on the spot now, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay, what it is do you think that you actually you didn't like when you were doing the course, but now after finishing the course you think that was actually very useful for me? So it's about thinking while you were doing it, you thought I really I didn't like this section, but now later on you kind of reflect and you think like, wow, that was actually very useful for me now.
Well, I think it's not something that I don't like, but I used to think that there were some correct answers for things. Like I thought that I should like write something specific to get points, but now I understand that is the important thing is my thoughts, that discussing it.
You've actually, that was a really good answer, because it's about dialogical approach of pedagogical about education. So it's not having the right answer is the key. It's actually is the process of being part of the dialogue. And it is amazing, and the reason it is amazing what you answered, because from my talk, my understanding is this is what Fatma is trying to do in her class. And what's amazing is you've been able to articulate it so well. So I think this is something you do well, Fatma. So congratulations on that. And we'll finish with Francesco's questions.
Thank you so much for your very sincere,
very good
sincere response.
No, that was really good answer. I really enjoyed it. It was a tough, tough answer. Hold on. These are questions from Ursula. Ursula, and then we have Francesco, okay? And then we'll close the session. Ursula, come in, please.
Gracias, Eric. No, en verdad no era una pregunta, solamente agradecer a Fatma, y en verdad esto debiera venir después de Francesco, pero y remarcar que tal vez lo que más me gustó de su presentación y de su enfoque pedagógico es que aborda un tema crucial que consideramos en Design Literacy muy importante, como es la ética del diseño y del ser diseñador, o aprender a ser diseñador, una perspectiva muy cercana a Freire. Ese es mi comentario, en verdad no había una pregunta. Así que adelante, Francesco.
Thanks so much. I don't have any question. First of all, congratulations to Fatma. Well done. I don't know, I write some concept, some reflection on the chat. For example, you introduced the idea of the case, but also in a philosophical point of view, we can also talk about the casuality, no? And during your speech, probably you don't remember, you used by chance, no? I discovered by chance this, and then I propose to my students. By chance is not a case. Again, it's not a question. Well done. Design is a deterministic discipline? Maybe yes. If you follow Alberto Alessi presentation, he wants to sell. He develops something because he needs to sell something. Simple and easy. That's why there is a determination. But today, for future creative leader like Umay, and they are told, is so relevant to determine the future. And then I conclude, and also for our friends, design future. Yeah, we can design the future, or maybe we can future the design. Because if you ask to the new generation, I had this conversation with Peter Scupelli from Carnegie Mellon, no? They invite me for a class, and I asked to the students, do you think that the future is positive? The 90% of the students, and also Turkish students, they replied to me to say, no, we don't think that the future will be positive. The only students that replies with, yes, it's positive, is Chinese students. This also a reflection. I don't know, I have no question. Congratulations, and well done also the idea to impose in elegant way to students to write, no? To reflect on some case and to write something. Well done, congratulations. I don't know, this is my point of view.
That was a very good last comment, Francesco. Thank you so much. And I think Fatma, I think it was well done, and it's very unusual to do case studies in a design school, and generally the design studio is the kind of the main way of teaching and learning. So it is good to have a different perspectives how we can teach and learn. Thank you, Umay, for your comments that you've made, and all the questions for everybody, Jen, Ursula, Liv, Eva, and others, and Leon, of course. And we're looking forward to the next presentation. In the next presentation, I'm going to quickly just share the screen with you. We will have, here we go. We'll have Yang Zhan, and he will be doing presentations on metacognition influence on the design knowledge application. And it will be in December 5th on Tuesday. And it will be 9 a.m. Santiago, Chile, 1300 Oslo, Norway time, 200 in the evening, 8 p.m. in China, and 2300 in the evening in Sydney, Australia. So we do welcome you for the next talk in December 5th, please. Do remember to book in. So you do receive the Zoom invitation. And it will be our last talk in 2023. And then we'll be looking forward to create a new plan for 2024. And we hope to see you then in December. And Francesco, all the best with your flight. Going back to Chile from Italy. Fatma, thank you so much for your nice presentations and introductions about your university. And thank you for Ursula for organizing all the kind of the technical elements behind this. And of course the interpreter Yasmin to interpreting from English to Spanish. And we've heard her voice interpreting back from Ursula to us. So and was as she did so well, as your mouth was moving, Ursula, the interpretation was coming through. It was like a movie which is dubbed. It was excellent. Ursula, would you like to say something at the end? And we close the session. Thank you.
Nada, solamente agradecer a todos y a todas y invitarlos para la sesión de diciembre con que vamos a cerrar el programa de 2023. Muchas gracias, Fatma, realmente una muy linda presentación y muy lindo trabajo. Felicitaciones. Adiós. Gracias, Jasmine.
Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.